Quick question for the podcast. Hopefully I'm getting this in time. Cam, I'd be interested to hear you talk about your progression as a writer, especially after going to work for the Moto Academy full time. Watching the Pro versus Am videos, it looks like you've progressed quite a bit rather quickly. But I'd just be interested to hear you talk about that experience as a whole, being around the bikes and riding so much and being able to kind of be around that on a daily basis. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So that's kind of cool.
Good question. That's
kind of cool. Stroking my ego a bit, but
great question.
Super cool.
Okay, so what would you say? Do you think that you have improved drastically? And if so, what has helped the most?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay.
We met in 2020. You and I had ridden together, did something in 20. We rode somehow, someplace. Maybe it was Bogey Bros. Maybe it was Tomahawk. Oh yeah, we did How to Jump 100 Feet in 2020. Mm-hmm. We rode that week at Tomahawk that I was camping there, all that stuff. Then we did the 2021 Supercross season. And then in April, right before I got COVID, right before we went to Atlanta, we went back, and I remember we were going to shoot videos at Tomahawk, and I did a couple laps, and I came off the track, and you were like, dude, you look like a whole different person. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Well, apparently it was a much more significant moment in my life than yours, but I came off the track, and you were like, dude, you don't look anything like you did in last summer.
Oh, wow.
And here's why. So I'm very much a monkey see, monkey do kind of guy. And the 2021 Supercross season, I was watching the best riders in the world ride all day long, every single day, editing. We were shooting Supercross videos. I was editing your GoPro stuff. I was editing I've spent more time watching pros ride than probably anybody in the app, because you got to think, I've edited all the tutorial videos, all of the YouTube videos. Like, I've spent an unbelievable amount of time watching the best riders in the world ride. And I think consciously, I can't say that word.
Conscious. Don't throw an extra N in there at the end.
Whatever. I've just picked up on stuff. And I'm not even kidding. Like, guys, I am so not trying to gas up the Moto Academy or whatever.
Gas it up.
But seriously, every single class, we do classes 2 to 4 times a week together. And I kid you not, every single class, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? I never thought, I thought for sure being with you for all these classes, and I don't even ride at them most of the time. But I was like, oh, after a while, it's just going to be the same old thing every single time. No, literally we upload 2 videos a week on the Moto Academy that are just random snippets from classes. And at classes, we do stand-up drill, one-hand drill, braking, cornering, jumping. That's our curriculum. Mm-hmm. So those videos may look and seem repetitive, but literally there's a nugget of information in each of those that you haven't heard before. And I think just for me, I think the most valuable thing for me has just been watching the footage, and me, the technique stuff you teach, all that stuff is just drilled into my head every single day, all day long, literally, because I'm editing all the videos.
Yeah. Well, you've been able to download more information than probably most pro riders.
I've gotten my money's worth for the
How many hours of footage do you think that you've set eyes on?
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds, obviously.
Well, more. We have hundreds
Thousands?
of hours probably in the Moto Academy.
So probably thousands
of hours. Thousands, dude. And I don't spend that much time riding. You got to realize,
So
I ride
you better
probably
get good, even if you only ride a few times a year.
I was going to say
so much information being downloaded and then sleeping on it, right? And waking back up and downloading the information again, sleeping on it again.
I'll literally ride once every couple weeks if it's a good summer. typically, which is not a lot of riding. I don't think it's more riding than you do, but it's not a lot of riding. But yeah, dude, it's just like just monkey see, monkey do. Especially after you go to a class, after you spend some time in the app, when you watch outdoors this weekend or this summer or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, wow, Ken Roxon looks really freaking good. Like, look, his feet are in the right place. His elbows are in the right place. His head's over the bars. Like, Chase Sexton, wow, he's crazy. It's like, oh, man, Barsha looks like he's going to die. Like, you just start to see all this stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm at the point, very much so, and I know you're there too, obviously. You can't watch somebody ride without dissecting it. Like, I think I'm starting to drive you crazy at classes now because I keep saying, like, this dude's fee is in the wrong place. And you're just looking at me like, I know. But it's like, I don't know. It's cool.
Well, I learned how to ride by watching. So the watching part is huge, huge, huge value for you to, even if you heard no dialogue whatsoever of instruction and you were just had to watch thousands of hours worth of footage, you would begin to figure it out and emulate and look like the rider that you were watching. So if you're watching thousands of hours of me, you're going to start to ride the right way, probably without even knowing what's going on. And then you add on top of that, like you just said, all of the information you've been downloading from these classes. And what's awesome, and this is why I still enjoy it and haven't got burnt out yet. Every class is so different because based on the skill level of the riders that are there or just the group of riders in general, based on the track or the track conditions, based on the sections specifically that we're working, based on the questions I get. Sometimes I'll get a random question that will create this really interesting conversation or dialogue that will I'll catch myself explaining something that I've never explained ever to anybody in detail. And I'll just be busting out that explanation like on the spot at a class. So that's why I enjoy doing it, because I just don't get sick of that. But then for you, you're just learning all of these things all the time. That's why I tell people at class, I say, this is great. This is one long day of training. Awesome. The problem is you're going to get a million pieces of information. You're not going to know what to do with it. So that's why it's important that they get into the app and can train consistently and be seeing the footage consistently and review their footage consistently so that they can track the improvement that way. Or if they don't have the means to get into the app or whatever, at least do multiple classes, because by class 3 or 4, that's when you see students not only being able to look like they're riding the correct way, but more importantly, you then see the students do what you just said, which is, hey, AJ, watch their feet. They're a little bit messed up here. When they come out of a turn, he's dropping his elbow at the end there. I get students, the regulars, that will just be sitting next to me as we're doing section work and are able to pick those things out and point them out to me and say, hey, AJ, you should probably stop this guy in the cowie coming by. He's riding a gear too tall. He's feathering the clutch. Like they're able to pick out these little things that riders are doing wrong.
Yeah.
And once you can recognize it in other people, it's much, much easier to recognize it in real time as you're doing it yourself. The problem is, and this is the lecture I always give people at riders meetings at these classes, is that most riders are aimlessly just spinning laps around the track with no rhyme or reason as to what's going on. When they mess up, they don't know what caused them to mess up. When they do it perfectly and rail perfectly, they don't know why they did it perfectly. And once you create the understanding, then you unlock, like for you, basically everything. You could essentially probably teach these classes on your own at this point. So even if you just rode once a year, I would expect that you would see improvement.
Yeah.
And drastic improvement. It's same with my brother. My brother studies motocross like crazy. He follows everything that I do. He's inside of the app, so he's watching the videos. My brother rides like once every 4 years and he's very good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he's very good just based on just studying it. And that's it.
Yeah.
So we got to Cam, whoever's editing this, clip this. Let's pop this on the old YouTube.
Yeah.
Because this is just how to get good without riding.
No, but that's the thing is it's like here, like, yeah, I really don't ride much, but now the information's so ingrained in my head. It's like, it just starts to happen. And sometimes it's not even intentional. Like literally sometimes it's not intentional, which is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, the biggest thing that I've learned in the last couple of years that happened unintentionally was dropping my heels. Because if you do everything else,
Yep.
it just makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the things start
Well,
to fall
that's
into
muscle
place.
memory is what you're talking about, where eventually you just start doing things without thinking about that you're doing them.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That too. But anyway, I'd be the first guy to say that I'm not fast at all. Like my goal is very much just to be safe and to be able to have fun and like go at speed that's fun with my buddies, you know, where we can kind of screw around or whatever. And I don't ever try to go fast. I don't ever try to, I haven't raced since high school, all this stuff. Since you and I have been working together, I've cut 15 seconds off my lap time at Tomahawk.
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Yeah. And
That's
it's probably more
crazy.
fun too.
Oh, absolutely. And it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah.
You're not struggling the whole time. Like also like there was some basic stuff. I was taught to ride off the back of the bike and just do everything wrong anyway. But like, I didn't feel like I was a terrible rider when we started, but, just the little things. It's like, but it's again, it's just information that I haven't even like, I don't even ride that much, but I've just heard it all. And you know what I mean? So it's cool.
So there you have it, folks. Get in the app if you're not already.
It was
And just
seriously, I'm not
watch
trying to make this a sales pitch.
Watch the
Like,
footage.
Yeah, it does work. It does work. And then when you watch the races, you watch Supercross, you watch motocross, you're going to start picking people apart. And that's what you have to do. And it'll just become natural at a certain point.
If you guys are enjoying these podcast clips and you want to watch full episodes, you can subscribe at club.themotoacademy.com.